You ever feel like you're built for something bigger, but no matter how hard you work, how much you optimize your resume, how many interviews you take, you keep getting overlooked? You're not crazy and you're not underqualified. You've just been playing the wrong role. The truth is, most people have never actually been taught how to leverage the way their brain works. Not in school, not in college, definitely not in their career. So they end up in roles that don't fit, surrounded by advice that doesn't apply to them, spending years feeling behind when in reality, they're just misaligned. And that's why we created the cognitive advantage type. It's a diagnostic tool built from real-world hiring data, human engineering, and behavioral science. We created it after reviewing thousands of job seekers, many of whom had the experience, the impact, and the raw capability, but were still being filtered out by systems that weren't designed to recognize their value. We studied what actually gets people hired at the highest levels. We analyzed the gap between potential and positioning, and we built a diagnostic to close it. So what is it? Your cognitive advantage type identifies the exact way your brain creates value inside a business, how you process problems, what kind of leverage you generate, where you operate best in an organization, and what roles will finally match your wiring. It's not based on theory, it's based on observable patterns, the same patterns hiring managers look for, but rarely know how to articulate. And once we know your type, we use it to do three things. Rebuild your narrative, so every line of your resume and LinkedIn matches the actual level you should be playing at. Reposition your strengths, so you stop sounding like a doer and start showing up like a driver of outcomes. Aim you at the right roles, so you stop applying to jobs that were never built for someone like you. Because until you understand how you think, how you solve problems, how you process information, how you create value, you'll always be taking stabs in the dark, applying to the wrong roles, selling the wrong story, and wondering why it's not clicking. We've identified 8 core cognitive advantage types. Every one of our clients maps to one, sometimes two. And the second we help them name it, own it, and build around it, everything shifts. Let me walk you through them. Let's see which one feels like home. So the first type is what we call the strategic synthesizer. And if that's you, you're the one who walks into the chaos and doesn't panic. You build. Your brain needs to make sense of things. You see the root cause, the way it all connects. You think in systems, not tasks. And you probably don't even realize that that's rare. Now here's the catch. Your resume might just look like a string of responsibilities, but what actually makes you powerful is how you think. Hiring managers are desperate for thinkers. You show them you don't just execute, you architect. You stop being a doer, you start being the one they call when things are broken and need to scale. Then we've got the insight integrator. If this is you, you're the translator. You read nuance like most people read emails. You notice what's not being said, what's missing in the data, what the team is really feeling, what the customer actually wants. You're not loud, you're intuitive, and you're sharp. And you're the one that shifts the whole strategy with one quiet observation that everyone else missed. Here's what most insight integrators get wrong. They assume the insight speaks for itself. It doesn't. You've got to spell it out, connect the dots. This is powerful because it's the kind of intelligence you can't train for. If you position yourself as someone who sees patterns across people and data, you instantly become the person who makes companies smarter. Next up is the visionary reframer. You're the one always asking, why are we still doing it this way? You challenge assumptions, not for fun, but because you know there's a better way. You don't make tweaks, you make leaps. Now let's be real. This wiring gets you misunderstood. People call you too much, but in the right role, you're revolutionary. Your job in the market is to show that your ideas land, that your vision isn't just bold, it's effective. That's the key. You don't just break things, you build something better. And when you can prove that, you go from being the rebel to the one who changes the game. Then we've got the tactical builder. You move. You don't need a 6-week planning session. You look at the goal, build what's needed, ship it fast, and fix it live. You're the one who keeps momentum going when everyone else is stuck in meetings. Your resume, it needs to sound like velocity. You win in roles where action matters more than polish. Speed plus output plus autonomy, that's your edge. And when you package it right, you become the trusted implementer every leadership team wants in their pocket. Now let's talk about the operational optimizer. You're the fixer, the person who sees the friction no one else sees. You look at a 14-step process and think, this should be 3. You don't need the spotlight, you need the system to work. And when it does, everyone's life gets better, even if they don't know why. Here's the hard part. When you're great at ops, your impact disappears because the drama doesn't happen, so you need to measure it. This is what gets you in the room, not because you're flashy, because you make things run quietly, reliably, powerfully. Now, the relational calibrator. You don't just lead people, you tune them. You know how to get the best out of teams, even when morale is low or tension is high. You're emotionally fluent, strategically empathetic, and you need to stop letting people call that soft. It's not soft, it's surgical. What you want to show is the impact of your leadership, because when you keep humans aligned through change, pressure, and scale, you're the one they trust to lead the team, not just manage it. 7th is the analytical architect. You don't just look at data, you think in data. And you don't just analyze, you build mental models that guide smart decisions. Your resume, it needs to show how your thinking became strategy. But don't stop at the numbers. Show how your frameworks helped other people think better. That's what separates analysts from architects. You don't just explain what is, you give people a lens to solve what's next. And finally, the strategic builder. You might not have founder in your title, but your brain works like one. You see business inside the business. You spot opportunity, build value, and move fast. Your resume should read like a business case. See, this works because most candidates talk about doing the job. You talk about growing the businesses. And that's what separates operators from future executives. Now, pause for a second. Which of those types made you feel like we were describing your brain better than you ever could? Which one hit you in the chest and made you go, ooh, that's why I felt out of place? That's the whole point of this diagnostic. We decode how your mind is wired, and we use that to reframe everything. Because most people in the job market are doing one of 2 things: trying to mimic someone else's path, or dumbing themselves down to match the job description. But when you build a positioning strategy around your true advantage, your cognitive wiring, your results, your real zone of genius, you stop being overlooked. You become obvious. This is why every single client starts here. Because when you finally show up in the market as you, not the watered down version, you get interviews, you get offers, you get paid like the person you've been all along. We're ready to help you do that. And if this helped you feel seen, then maybe it's time to stop guessing and start building the version of your career that finally fits. We've got you.